Hello there, and welcome to Sleepy Nights. And tonight, we'll enter a new world and meet a magical tailor. The last customer had departed an hour before sunset, and Vesper was grateful for it. He moved through the shop with the deliberate care of a man who had performed the same ritual for 50 years, trimming lamp wicks, covering the bolts of silk and velvet against the dust that crept in from Aramest's cobbled streets. His hands, gnarled as old olive wood but steady as a mason's level, worked with conscious thought. The measured thread occupied the ground floor of a narrow building in the Silvergilt district, wedged between a cartographer's studio and an alchemist's supply house. A single long room with a little window at the front. Walls lined floor to ceiling with fabric. Common wool and linen on the lower shelves, rising through gradations until the top shelves held mooncloth woven during the dark of the moon, worm-scale leather, spider-glass thread in silk-lined boxes. At the back stood the fitting platform, a raised circle worn smooth by decades of feet. Behind it, a curtained doorway to his workroom. To the right, a changing room with a mirror. The shop smelled of cedarwood and beeswax, and the faint scent of the spirit lamp that burned perpetually on Vesper's workbench. Vesper had just locked the strongbox containing the day's modest earnings when he heard it. 3 sharp raps against the door. He paused, one hand still on the box's iron hasp. The 8th bell had rung 1/4 hour past, its deep voice rolling across the city from the Citadel Tower. He did not take customers after the 8th bell. Had not for 20 years. Not since the incident with Lord Mervain's son and the coat that should never have been made. 3 more raps. Harder. Vesper straightened, feeling the familiar complaint in his lower back, and crossed to the door. Through the frosted glass panel, he could see the quality of shadow. Expensive cloak, well cut. The posture of someone unused to waiting. He opened the door. The young woman on his threshold was perhaps 23, dark hair pinned in the Eastern style, her face bearing the sculptural beauty of careful bloodlines. She wore a travelling cloak of Tyroshi blue worth half a year's wages. The cloak was weeping. Not metaphorically. Actual water ran down the fabric in rivulets, though the night beyond was clear and star-filled. The water caught the lamplight as it fell, and where it should have pooled on the threshold stones, it simply vanished, as though the earth itself refused to acknowledge it. Master Vesper, her voice carried the crisp edges of formal education, but underneath ran a current of something very like panic. "I was told you might help me. That you've seen unusual cases." Vesper studied her for a long moment. He had learned over decades of fitting lords and ladies, merchants and mages, that the first moments told you everything you needed to know. The way she held her shoulders, proud but with effort, the faint discoloration in her eyes that no amount of powder could quite hide. The way her hands twisted in the cloak's fabric, seeking comfort from something that offered none. "Well, come in," he said, stepping aside. "But I'll need some tea for this." She sat in the customer's chair while he prepared tea on the spirit lamp, small movements that brought time to observe. Her eyes roamed the shop. Through the window, Aramest's evening continued. Cartwheels, voices, the lamplighter with his pole. "Tell me," Vesper said, measuring black leaf into his pot, "what brings a daughter of House Havren to a tailor shop after the 8th bell?" He heard her sharp intake of breath. Good. He had guessed correctly then. The cloak's weave, the formal bearing, the Eastern Province styling, all pointed to Havren. And there was only one daughter of appropriate age. "How did you—" she began. "Well, I made your grandfather's funeral clothes," Vesper said simply. 30 years ago now. He had the same cheekbones. Also, I am old and I pay attention. Now, what has happened to you, Lady Carine?" She told him. The curse had begun 3 weeks prior. She'd woken to find her nightgown damp. Grief for her grandmother. But at breakfast her robe had begun to smoke when her maid pulled her hair too tight. "Every garment I wear manifests whatever I'm feeling," she said. "Grief makes them weep. Anger makes them smolder. This morning I was anxious, and my sleeve unraveled thread by thread while I watched." Vesper set down his own cup. "And if you remove the garment?" "It stops immediately. But the moment I touch another, anything, a cloak, a glove, even a handkerchief, it just begins again with whatever emotion is strongest." "Can you suppress it? Control what you feel?" She laughed. "I've tried. It doesn't matter what I show on my face, what I pretend, only what I actually feel. I could smile and bow and play the gracious lady, and my dress would still weep if I was sad beneath it." "So, it's keyed to genuine emotion, not performance. And it transfers to any garment the moment it touches your skin." He was quiet for a moment, thinking. Someone spent considerable time on this. Days, likely. The kind of work that requires patience and skill both. I know. In 2 days, my brother Corvin is being formally invested as our father's heir. The ceremony will host every major house in the eastern provinces, and if I don't attend, questions will be asked. Why would Lord Haveren's daughter miss her own brother's investiture? But if I do attend, and the curse reveals itself, our family has enemies at court. They would use this, they would call it madness or possession, or evidence of some corruption in our bloodline. Everything my father has built would crumble. Why not a mage, Go to a curse breaker. I've already tried 3. They said it's woven too deep. Breaking it might break me. Her hands tightened. One suggested hiding, another offered magical sleep. I won't hide, I won't sleep through my own life. Then, what do you want from a tailor? I want to be able to stand beside my brother in 2 days and have no one see what I'm feeling. I want armor. And I was told you're the only one in Aramest who might understand how to make it. Vesper rose from his chair, joints creaking in their familiar complaint, and moved to where she sat. Stand up, please, on the platform. She did, stepping on to the raised circle. He circled her slowly, professional detachment settling over him like a familiar coat. This was what he knew. Fabric and form, the way cloth moved over body, the places where seams needed reinforcement, and where they could be delicate. He reached out and touched the weeping cloak. The quality of the weave, fine work. Tyroshi looms, almost certainly, with a particular type weave they favored. Then, to Garine's visible surprise, he lifted a corner to his mouth and placed a single thread on his tongue. What are you? Quiet, please. The thread tasted like copper and ash, with an undercurrent of something older. Hedge magic, he thought. Not the clean geometries of academy sorcery, but something primal. Something that understood the deep connections between object and owner. He released the cloak and wiped his mouth with the back of his hand. Someone had access to your entire wardrobe. Every piece for hours, probably days. They worked the curse into each garment slowly, carefully. Not the clothes themselves. They cursed the relationship between the fabric and you. They severed the neutral bond most people have with what they wear and bound you into something else. Something intimate, responsive. Like the clothes are extensions of your own skin, showing what your skin cannot. Can you break it? No. He returned to his chair. and poured himself some more tea. I'm a tailor, not a mage. But I've lived 73 years, and I've learned that most problems don't need breaking. They need understanding. Tell me, Lady Carine, who do you suspect? The silence stretched between them. Outside, a cart rattled past. Someone called greeting to a lamplighter. The normal life of the city continued. My brother, she said finally. Vesper nodded. He was unsurprised. He had heard versions of this story. In different configurations, different families. Inheritance did strange things to people. Why him? Well, 2 months ago, Corvin gave me a gift. A jewelry box. Rosewood and mother of pearl, lined with crimson velvet. For my name day, he said, though we've never... He doesn't give gifts. I kept it in my wardrobe room. The morning the curse started, I found it in the hallway, empty, the lining gone. Dropped in haste, I think. The vessel? Yes. And he's tired of being invisible. When I'm in a room, no one sees him. I remember names, know the feuds, diffuse or cement alliances. Father relies on me. Corvin just disappears. And you want me to make you something that will let you stand beside him at his investiture without revealing what you feel about all this? Yes. Vesper was quiet for a long moment, studying her. Then that I can do. But understand what you're asking. I cannot cure you. I can only give you armor. There's a difference. Yes, I understand. Do you? He leaned forward. Because armor is heavy. It's meant to be taken off. What I make you will let you survive the investiture, perhaps longer, but eventually you'll need to face the cure itself and whoever cast it. I know. But first I need to survive the next 2 days. After that, I'll deal with the rest. Very well. Vesper stood up. Tomorrow, after the 4th bell, for the fitting. But first... He withdrew parchment and graphite, wrote quickly, handed her the note with a silver coin. There's a boy on the corner of Threadneedle. Red cap, Pip. Give him this. He'll have what I need by morning. He named his price. She didn't flinch. Counted out gold coins and placed them beside the spirit lamp. Thank you, Master Vesper. Don't thank me yet. After she left, he stood looking at the coins, thinking about brothers and sisters, and all the small ways people erased each other. Then he began to plan. Vesper woke the next morning to the sound of someone pounding on his door. He descended from his quarters above, still in his nightshirt, joints protesting the early hour and the stairs both. Through the frosted glass, he could see a small silhouette, too small for an adult. He opened the door to find Pip, the errand boy, red cap askew, breathless from running. "Master Vesper, I've got everything, but Sister Thalia says she needs to talk to you herself. She's coming. She'll be here any minute. Said not to leave without... Oh no, here she is." Down the street came a figure in the undyed linen robes of the empty loom order. Even from a distance, Vesper recognized Thalia's gait, the way she navigated the street with the certainty of someone who had long ago memorized every cobblestone. "Go on, boy," Vesper said, handing Pip another coin. "You've done well." Pip grinned and vanished into the morning crowds. Thalia arrived at his threshold, a canvas bag slung over one shoulder. She was ancient, older than Vesper by nearly a decade, and blind, her eyes clouded white as milk, but her fingers were still nimble, still certain, and she read the world through touch with greater accuracy than most people managed with sight. "Vesper," her voice was like wind through autumn leaves. "You smell of worry and tea. Do you have more?" "Always, Thalia. Come in, come in." He settled her in the customer's chair and prepared a fresh pot, while she sat, fingers drumming against the armrests in a rhythm he recognized as thinking, weighing, measuring invisible scales. "The boy said you needed nowl weave," she said. "3 lengths, rush order, that's unusual for you. You plan your work months in advance. This is exceptional circumstances. Show me the sample." Vesper retrieved the small piece he'd cut from Carine's cloak and placed it in Thalia's hands. Her fingers found it immediately, began their reading, tracing the weave, feeling the weight, the tension, the particular signature of the curse worked into it. Her expression darkened. "House Havrin," she said, not a question. "You know the work?" "I know the hand that made it, and I won't help you undo it." Vesper had expected this. Thalia's principles were absolute. She would not use her knowledge to unmake what another had made, would not participate in the endless cycle of magic and counter-magic that had, in her view, destroyed the world once already during the Sundering. He poured the tea, set a cup before her, waited. Outside, the city woke. Cartwheels. The baker's boy calling wares. I'm not asking you to break the curse, he said finally. I'm asking you to give a girl armor so she can survive long enough to face it herself. That's a distinction without difference, Vesper. You give her armor, she walks into that ceremony, and then what? She thinks she's safe. She thinks she has time. But House Havren doesn't forgive. Whoever made this curse will know it's been circumvented. They'll know someone helped her, and they'll come looking. Let them come. Will you? Thalia's blind eyes turned toward him with uncanny accuracy. Because I remember the Meervan boy. Vesper, I remember what happened when you made that coat, the questions, the accusations, the guild investigation. You nearly lost everything, your shop, your reputation, your livelihood. And that was just a nobleman's wounded pride. This is House Havren we're talking about. This is succession. This is power. I know what it is. Then you know what you're risking. Not just for yourself, for her too. If you give her this armor and it fails, or if they discover what you've done, you'll have made her situation worse, not better. And you'll have to put yourself in the path of people who don't forgive interference. Vesper was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was soft but certain. 50 years ago, my master told me something. He said a tailor's job is to help people present themselves to the world as they choose to be seen, not as they are forced to be seen, not as others demand they be seen as they choose. That's the principle I've built my life on, Thalia, and I won't abandon it now. Thalia was silent, her fingers still drumming. Then she sighed, a sound like the wind. 3 lengths, she said finally. That's all you get. And Vesper, when this comes back on you, and it will, don't say I didn't warn you. I won't. Yes, you will. You always do. But there was something almost like affection in her voice as she reached for the canvas bag and withdrew 3 carefully wrapped bundles. This is my best work. The null weave is so natural it barely exists. Don't waste it, and don't waste your life on it either. After she left, Vesper unwrapped the fabric and spread it across his workbench. The material was extraordinary, so fine it barely caught the light, so neutral it seemed to disappear against whatever surface it touched. Thalia had outdone herself. He also had, thanks to Pip's efficiency, the other materials, copper sole thread from Davix, the wire drawer, delivered in 2 neat spools, dream serpent skin for lining, shed not taken, purchased from the naturalist who kept the shop near the docks. Everything he needed. Now came the work. Vesper spent the rest of the morning in his workroom, the space behind the curtained doorway that customers rarely saw. It was smaller than the shop proper, perhaps 10 feet square, but it was his kingdom. A long workbench scarred by decades of work, Shelves holding tools, shears of different sizes, needles organized by gauge, pins, measuring strings, pattern papers, marking chalks. The window faced the alley, admitting thin grey light that Vesper supplemented with oil lamps. He preferred lamplight for detailed work, steadier than daylight, less prone to shifts. He worked in silence. Some tailors liked music or company. Vesper had learned the best work came from meditation, focus, hands moving almost without conscious thought. First, the pattern. He had taken Carine's measurements the night before and now transferred them to paper, adjusting for the particular properties of null weave, which draped differently than ordinary fabric. Heavier somehow despite its fineness, as though neutrality itself had weight. A gown for a formal investiture, high-necked in the Eastern style with long sleeves and a train that would whisper against marble floors. But in the cutting was the trick. Each piece had to be positioned to resist enchantment, not through active counter-magic, but through simple neutrality, the way a mirror reflected light without adding to it. The bodice would be cut on the bias, breaking any directional flow the curse might try to follow. The sleeves would be pieced rather than whole, creating natural interruptions. The train would be triple layered, each layer slightly offset, so that any magical charge would dissipate between them like water through sand. He cut the null weave with shears that had belonged to his master, their blades so sharp they could divide a single thread lengthwise. Each cut was deliberate, precise, irreversible. Null weave was expensive enough that waste was unforgivable. As he worked, he talked to the fabric. This was a habit from youth, one his master had taught him, that cloth was not inert but responsive, that it remembered the hands that shaped it and the purposes it was meant to serve. "You will be stillness," he murmured to the null weave as he pinned the first seam. "You will be the space between breaths. You will be the armor that doesn't cut. Protection that doesn't smother. You will let her be seen as she chooses, not as she's forced to be." The morning passed. Through the thin wall separating his workroom from the shop, Vesper could hear the sounds of Aramest going about its business. Merchants calling their wares, the clatter of hoofs on cobblestone, occasional snatches of conversation. Midday brought footsteps in the shop. "One moment," he called. Vesper emerged to find Mistress Hollis from next door, basket over one arm. "My husband's winter coat needs the lining replaced," she said, withdrawing heavy wool. "The moths got to it." "3 days," Vesper said, examining it. He named a modest price. Good neighbors deserved fair treatment. She paid and was leaving when she paused. "That last girl, the one from last night, after the 8th bell, She all right? She has difficulties. I'm helping as I can. Oh, good. I'm glad she found you. Vesper returned to his workroom. The copper-soled thread came next. This was delicate work, requiring absolute precision. The thread had to be incorporated into the seams in a specific pattern, creating a kind of grounding effect that would encourage the curse to dissipate harmlessly, rather than manifesting through the fabric. He threaded his first needle and began. Each stitch had to be exactly as it needed to be, not too tight, which would create resistance and make the garment itself a kind of cage, not too loose, which would let the curse seep through like water. Each stitch perfect, no more, no less. The afternoon light shifted as he worked, the grey brightening to amber and then beginning to slow toward the evening. Vesper worked without pause, his world narrowed to needle and thread, to the slow accumulation of perfect stitches. At some point, he heard the fourth bell from the citadel tower. Shortly after, the shop door opened again. "Master Vesper?" Karine's voice called out. Come in. I'll just be a moment." He emerged carrying the partial gown. Karine stood on the platform, her dress already unravelling at the hem. "How are you managing?" "Badly. Every time I think about the investiture, about Corvin." "Arms out." He draped the gown, pinning, studying the drape. A good fit, but adjustments needed. He made tiny marks with white chalk while telling her a story. 40 years ago, he said, I made a cloak for a young soldier before a battle he was certain to die in. He wanted something his mother could keep afterwards, something beautiful to remember him by. I made it. Midnight blue, lined with silver thread. Oh, the best work I'd done in years. And he wore it, and he went to war, and he didn't die. 20 years later he came back, older, weathered, with a daughter about to be married. Needed wedding clothes for her. While I worked, he told me the cloak had saved his life. Not through any magic, but because wearing it had made him feel calm. Like he was already remembered, already honored. It gave him the presence of mind to think clearly when everyone else was panicking, and that clarity kept him alive. Vesper stepped back, examining his work. The cloak wasn't magic, it was just well made. Sometimes that's enough. What's the point of your story? Karine asked. That what you wear changes how you hold yourself, and how you hold yourself changes everything else. He began removing pins, carefully lifting the partial gown from her shoulders. What What I'm making you won't stop the curse, but it might stop the curse from stopping you. Do you understand? I think so. Good. Come back tomorrow at sunset. It will be ready. After she left, Vesper returned to his workroom and worked through the evening and into the night. The dream serpent lining went in last, sewn with regular thread. Past midnight when he finished, his back ached, fingers stiff, eyes burning, but the gown was complete. He held it up, deep indigo null weave, almost black, copper embroidery at the hems, and cuffs suggesting water and stillness. Dream serpent lining catching light with iridescent shimmer. Beautiful, but more importantly, right. He covered it with linen and climbed to his quarters, and sleep came quickly. He woke late to rain, descended, made tea, and the day filled with ordinary work. Mistress Hollis's coat, the clerk's waistcoat, the baker's curtains. The rhythm felt good. No curses, no intrigue, just fabric and straightforward solutions. The baker collected his curtains with a loaf as payment. An elderly woman sought advice for her granddaughter's wedding dress. Vesper showed her silks, explained trade-offs. By the sixth bell, the rain had stopped. Vesper locked the door, retrieved the gown, brought it to the fitting room. She came at precisely sunset. Come in, it's ready. In the fitting room, she drew a sharp breath, seeing it. It's beautiful. Function matters more. Change, please. He withdrew, heard the fabric rustle, then silence. Master Vesper, I don't feel it. He returned to the fitting room. Caroline stood before the mirror wearing the gown, her hands touching the fabric with a kind of wonder. The curse is still there, she said. I can feel it like pressure against my skin, but the gown, it's like it doesn't know the curse exists. Yes, that's the null weave working. The fabric refuses to acknowledge the enchantment. How does it feel otherwise? Comfortable? Barely there. I can hardly feel it against my skin. Good. Now think of something sad. She closed her eyes, grief crossed her face like shadow. The gown remained still. Try anger. Jaw tight, fist clenched, the gown was quiet. Fear. Terror flickered. Investiture, brother, destruction. The gown whispered with normal movement. Nothing more. She opened her eyes, bright with unshed tears. How long will it last? As long as you need it to, Vesper said. But understand, you're not cured, you're armored. This curse still lives in you. This gown simply refuses to acknowledge it. Eventually you'll need to face what's been done to you, and whoever did it. This just buys you time. Time is all I need right now. She changed back, curse immediately returning, dampness spreading. Vesper wrapped the gown in linen. She paid the remaining half and took it carefully. Thank you, Master Vesper, truly. Survive the investiture first, then return and tell me how it went. I will. She left as dark fell, the gown held close. Vesper stood in the doorway watching her disappear. He was closing the door when footsteps approached. The young man who emerged from the evening crowds wore House Haveron clothes, deep green riding leathers. He had Kareen's cheekbones, her dark hair cut military short. It was Corvin. He carried a riding jacket of fine leather that was screaming, not audibly, no sound at all. But Vesper could see it in the way the leather twisted and writhed, seams pulling from themselves, the particular distress of an object in genuine agony. Master Vesper, Corvin's voice said. My sister visited you, I believe. Now I need your help. Vesper looked at the young man, at the jacket, thought about brothers and sisters, curses and inheritance, and all the ways families destroyed each other in the name of love. He sighed. Come in. I'll make tea. Corvin crossed the threshold and Vesper closed the door. Through the window, the lamplighter touched flame to wick. Inside, the spirit lamp burned steady. Corvin stood in the center, still holding this writhing jacket. Sit, Vesper said gently. While the water heats, tell me what you've done. The young man sat, placed the jacket in his lap. The kind of thing a lord's heir would wear. The kind of thing someone might curse. The 9th bell began to ring.